You get sucked into the whole, our EV is going to be the solution, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. You use nickel to build stainless steel. You use stainless steel to build data centers. You use it to build hospitals. Use it to build everything.
Welcome to Alt Investing Made Easy, where we explore the complex world of alternative assets. I'm Roland, a securities attorney, investment advisor, and your co-host.
And I'm Sarah, an investment advisor and corporate attorney, and your other co-host. We'll guide you through real estate, private equity, and more, making complex topics accessible.
Tune in for insights that empower your financial journey.
Let's make alt investing easy, one episode at a time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alt Investing Made Easy. Thank you for joining us today. We're delighted to bring to you an interview with Nicole Brewster, CEO of Renforth Resources. It's a new topic for us to discuss today, exploration in natural resources. And so we hope you enjoy this topic today. Nicole, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, Nicole, thank you for being here. And this is really interesting to us. We were just talking before we started recording that you're located up near Toronto, Canada. Is that right?
Yep. And I'm in Southern Ontario. Our properties are in Quebec.
And so you're the CEO of a mining company in Canada, and we feel a real kindred spirit with you here in Texas because the oil and gas industry is so huge here, and so much of that industry overlaps and intersects with mining and mining natural resources. So, it'd be interesting for us to hear a little about your personal background and also what Renforth Resources does, Nicole. So just kind of turn it over to you and tell us the story about you and Renforth.
Fair enough. Thank you. I was raised by an exploration geologist who worked around the world, so had summer jobs that were in the hard rock extraction business as opposed to your resource extraction business. And I became a stockbroker. Then once I had a family, I went back to being a contractor in the exploration space. And our part of the exploration space is boots on the ground. I ended up the largest shareholder of Renforth because they had to pay for some work with shares, and eventually the president. And the reason is, or what I bring to the table for Renforth is my ability as an explorationist, which is a multifaceted kind of field. You got to have logistics ability. You got to understand the development of a business case in the world of resource extraction. You have to be able to run on a budget because capital is very, very dear. And if you run out of it, you have a problem. And you have to prove value. You have to understand how to prove value subsurface, that's the parallel to your oil business, right? Those are subsurface geological structures. It's just they're fluid. They're not hard rock. So a lot of the same, there's some technology overlap, but there's definitely mindset overlap. The ability to look at an empty field and say, there could actually be value here. It's just, you're not going to perceive it as you're whizzing by on the road and, looking at grass. So it's kind of a neat world. It's a very fecund place. You take a field and you demonstrate value and you can build it into a business if the endowment is sufficient to support it or the demand for the commodities supports it, because it's very much a financial game at the end of the day. And it's funny, we're exploration, but mining is certainly run by accountants. As a contractor, any mines I've intersected with or had the pleasure of working on, it's always been the accountants in charge, and very long meetings about things like tire choices or where you process. It's funny how it goes right to the crux of it. But where I am, I'm proving initial value. We're doing the discovery work, which we've done on 2 properties. And now we've established the resource. We've declared maiden resources. So we're the first to prove that there's value below the ground in these 2 locations in Quebec. One's critical minerals, one's gold. And now we're doing the work of continuing to develop and grow those resources. So
I'd be interested, since we do talk about alternative investing, and this is an area of private investing, And so let's just touch on a little bit more about the capitalization in this industry. I know we talked before about there are different ways that you as a CEO of a specific company with specific circumstances can raise capital. But generally, how does it work in this part of the industry? How does capital get raised for this initial exploration?
So you can enter as an investor this industry at a few places.
Hmm.
Um, the very insular place people do enter, but they're really only people like myself, is at the private company stage, where you go out and you stake land. So similar to your oil paradigm, but you
Mm.
go out and you stake land because it's prospective, it's promising, there are indications a prospector has found something. So you stake the land, and then you've got to have the capital, which is usually put up. You can fund it yourself, or you can put together a little group and you fund
Mm.
initial work. That can be done privately, or that can be done in a public company, which already has shareholders who purchase shares from Treasury through a private placement issuance, and that capital is used. So that's the Renforth piece. I raise capital by issuing shares to shareholders, and those shares come out of Treasury. So the money
Mm.
goes into Treasury. We use
Right.
that money to explore. Those shares are publicly traded, meaning that you can purchase them in the public market from other shareholders. That doesn't fund exploration per se. That's
Right.
just pure speculative investment.
But it
But
also gives investors liquidity,
it gives them liquidity,
provided the
and
market's stable.
precisely, it gives them an entrance and an exit point, because you're speculating on the results that we're going to obtain in our fieldwork, and you're also speculating just on the viability of the business plan as a whole. For
Mm.
example, geographic location. Like, Canada is a huge country, as you're aware, and a lot of it's covered in snow, including where I am. But a lot of it's harder to access. Our infrastructure isn't so great. So if you find a mineral deposit that is only, for example, helicopter accessible through part of the year, your costs to operate are much higher.
Right.
So you have to find something that's really worthwhile. Again, there's a business in the background of what we do. It's not just Indiana Jones crazy stories, stuff.
Finding gold.
Yeah,
But then I think you also mentioned earlier there's a second play, which is how that particular mineral resource that you're trying to access and maybe what else you might find, because I think sometimes those are mixed. It is what the global market is for those. So there's the cost of extracting, but also the price globally is usually varying, isn't it? Also similar.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're at all watching media in the hard rock or even the political space, specifically in the United States, although it's starting to become a dialogue, it's actually in the news here now. You've heard about critical minerals. We used to call them base metals. I think the U.S. Geological Survey, oh, I forget the number. There's about 32, I think, identified in Canada. It's higher in the U.S. And they're critical largely because they're critical for just supply chain. For
Mm.
example, the resource we established in Quebec, it's polymetallic, meaning it's multiple metals. Just because of the geology, we're not going to go into the geology. It's not part of our conversation here. One of the metals is nickel. Well, there's a few uses for nickel. People think about EV batteries, and then you get sucked into the whole our EV is going to be the solution, blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. You use nickel to build stainless steel. You use stainless steel to build data centers. You use it to build hospitals. Use it to build everything. We have
Mhm.
zinc, which you use to galvanize or to coat, anti-corrosion coating. So these metals are critical just to how we live, because the fun bit about how we live as a species on this planet is if we don't grow it, we mine it. Is that
Mm.
fundamental? You either grow it in a field or a lab, or you mine it, be it hard or liquid rock, by taking it out of the ground.
Mhm.
So we need these minerals, we need these metals, and geopolitically, it's problematic because, as you pointed out, commodities prices fluctuate.
Mhm.
They can be manipulated. other countries stockpile. China would stockpile metals, flood the market, depress the price. And as I told you, there's a business case behind, and it's a very simple one behind mining. Dig it up for less money than you can sell it for. It's that simple. If the commodity price goes down, your cost of production is sitting, at or above the commodity price. You're no longer viable. So mines close. But not only do mines close, this is what we're dealing with now globally, with the exception of China and Russia. In the Western world, when the commodity prices are depressed, exploration is canceled because exploration is a loss. It's a loss leader. All we do is spend money. We don't make money. The end of my business cycle is to open the gold mine that we're building our deposit towards, or to sell the gold deposit to another miner. That's where we make back the money we spend. But if the major miners don't perceive the ability in their balance sheet to pay for exploration, they cut it, which means you have no future supply being developed. And that's the situation we're in globally now. That's why you're seeing all the commodity prices are up. That's why you're seeing the Vault Act. It's a buffer. It's a stockpiling act in the United States. You're seeing initiatives from the Department of War and the U.S. government, Department of Energy specifically, to identify and try to support the U.S. government with the property in Northern California. They've done a price floor, equity investment / price floor agreement to guarantee a floor price to the commodities, to give the company the assurance that they can continue to develop their processing capacity. Because that's the other piece of the puzzle. For example, the only nickel mine in the United States is in Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's mined there. It's got its primary processing, its crushing is there, but the refining, it's shipped to Canada and it's refined in Canada because there's no refining capacity for nickel in the United States. So we're playing catch up as Western, as the Americas, as North America, we're playing catch up now because we don't have I'm lucky where Renforth is in Quebec. There's a smelter within an hour that can process the ore. And then there's multiple operating gold mines that can create doré. So we have our processing on our doorstep, but how far do you have to truck it to processing? That's another cost driver in exploration.
And then how do you get it out of northern Quebec into the hands of whoever wants to buy it from you?
Well, we're in the southern part of Quebec.
Southern Quebec.
We're north, like we're from Toronto. We're about, if it's an 8-hour drive northeast. From New York, it's about a 12-hour drive north, and from Montreal, it's 6-ish.
Okay.
But Quebec goes a lot further north. So we're on national highways, municipal road networks. We have rail lines, and Montreal is a deep water port on the St. Lawrence.
Right.
But you can drive down into Vermont and you've got the entire U.S. seaboard. So we're incredibly well located. Our logistics is to our benefit. And it's also in the mining world. Like if your investors are thinking of dipping their toe in, one thing I've been talking to my shareholders about for a long time, it's kind of like yelling into a well. Because, I run a little junior company. I don't have a big audience. But one thing I tell people to pay attention to is jurisdiction risk. Because you're seeing regimes around the world decide they need more money, so they seize assets, or they change the tax code, or they preclude the minerals from leaving the country, the mining companies from exporting, unless the processing is done in country. This processing discussion is a very broad one in the industry, but if you're going to start investing in this industry, I would caution people to stay in North America. Between the United States and Canada, we do have rule of law. Mexico has rule of law as well. But continental North America is, we can debate the law, but continental North America, specifically the United States and Canada, are governed by stable governments, which are torn to an established set of rules.
Right.
A lot of the world's not like that.
Yeah, I think especially with mineral and natural resources, because that, as you said, it's the bounty of the land. And there's this long argument, I guess, from the early days of the extraction industries getting going as to who those resources belong to, right?
They belong to the government in power, the mining company that's done the identification, investment, and proven it, the people that live nearby. Social license is a growing concern in the industry as well. And I'm sure you see that in oil and gas. I can't
Yeah.
imagine it's terribly different because it attorns to our oil industry in Canada. We have the oil sands. They have their own,
Right.
social license issues as well. So it's a
Roland,
fascinating place, but I'll tell you, I'm the Wild West. I'm the littlest fish in a very big pond, but I'm the place where if I drill a hole and I press release the results, that can translate directly into the trading price of the stock. And that's where the speculation comes in. Speculation, I spent a long time with a very smart man yesterday who pointed out to me when he first started in business, he used the word speculation. Everyone's like, you can't say you speculate, it's negative. So he went back to the Latin and he's like, speculation is fundamentally an educated decision on a predicted outcome. So it's not a bad word.
Yeah.
And that is what you're doing. You're buying stock. If you're investing privately, you should know what you're doing because you're gambling that they have a path to the market to go public. If you're investing in the public markets, treasury, your stock will be restricted 4 months. That's the Canadian rules. The US, it's section 133, and I'm not as familiar with how that's lifted. But you're restricted 4 months. So you're speculating that post the 4 months, the activity you're looking for, the stock price rise is going to happen. Or you buy it in the public market. You can own it for a hot second or you can own it for years. But in any case, you're buying stock because you're speculating on positive developments at the drill bit with the business plan and with the industry as a whole. So, but a drill hole, if I put out a press release, a drill hole can move the market. And, we're a micro company. The value of the company is between 10 and $15 million Canadian. It's not a big company, but it could very quickly become worth a lot more or not.
Yeah.
I can't tell you
When
what the
it's-
future holds.
Yeah, and you just pointed out such a big issue that is across the board with all companies and all investors is that disclosure. And you said depending on what you say about that test well or the test hole that you dig, you've got to be really careful about what you say, and you can't say anything that could be deemed to be misleading, so that people think, well,
Correct.
she said that it was whatever. I mean,
Well, that's why I just told you we don't know what the future holds. You got to watch. This business is rife with lifestyle mining companies, as I'm sure happens in the oil and gas industry, where they're really only leveraging shareholders. They're not trying to build value for anyone else. We can't make forward-looking statements. I can't tell you as much as people want me to. I have people call me up daily. What's the stock going to do? I knew that. I doubt very much I'd be sitting here. I'd have leveraged that knowledge, but nobody knows what the future holds. All I can tell you is what I'm doing. So we trade on an exchange called the CSE, the Canadian Securities Exchange, and their emphasis is disclosure heavy. I have to disclose everything. I've been told by the old boys in the business, you put out too many press releases. You write these newsletters. Why do you do this? Nobody cares. Sure, nobody cares. Fine. I don't really care myself, whether anyone cares. Oh, big loop of who cares there. But I just sat at the PDAC, which had 33,000 attendees this year, and the newsletter I put out with a press release before the Prospector and Developer Association of Canada, that's what the PDAC is, convention, world's largest mining convention happening in Toronto. I said to readers, if you're still here at the bottom of the newsletter, come by the booth at PDAC and say hello. I want to meet you. People did. People are reading
That's cool.
it.
Yeah.
It's very cool to see. So I overshare, sure, for whatever reason you want to attribute it to, but I'm the largest retail shareholder today in the company. I put everything I do and own into this company. My knowledge in this company is incredibly deep. Nobody wants to know what I know. We'd be days trying to fill you in and you would glaze over and likely pass out. However, I do believe that you want to know what your money's doing and why you're a shareholder. So I overshare. One of my shareholders said his criteria for investment was to be able to always talk to the CEO. And the only company he found that he could do that was Renforth, because I'll reply to an email, I'll pick up the phone.
Yeah. It's
I
funny
think that
because for us,
transparency really engenders trust.
yeah. what Roland just said, just that as securities attorneys, we're definitely pro transparency, pro disclosure, yeah.
Pro suitable warnings, suitable caution to the reader. Like nothing's guaranteed. All I can do is tell you what I know. And you got to do your own due diligence. I start every newsletter. I say, okay, here I am. We put out a press release. There's a link below. But first, you should read the press release. You should do your own due diligence. You should ask questions. Ask me. But I'm not a financial advisor, but I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of promotion and arm waving in the business, and there's a lot of people that'll guarantee. As soon as someone tells you they guarantee what's going to happen, run away. Nobody can guarantee anything. So it is a buyer beware, but it's exciting. There's lots happening. You can read all my oversharing or not, but I find it fascinating. I find it ridiculously exciting. And if you want, you can drive to Renforth properties yourself. They're right beside the road. The road runs over them. They're open to the public. There's no fences, nothing like that. So it's pretty cool space.
Just to what you're just talking about, Roland, wouldn't you agree that this is also basic advice for any kind of alternative investing? So if we're talking about private investing, or what we define as alternative investing in the United States, at least, is basically purely private investing, although it's also I think, as you're saying, you're on a journey to full public trading. You do have a public trading element for your company, but there's still something that's
well, in the U.S., I think I'm on the QB, which is like your Wild West, OTC QB. I have a listing.
Yeah.
I have a listing in Frankfurt. I did not cause either of those listings to happen. Market makers did them, but that's certainly an alternative, because there's not in the U.S. There's certainly no. And in Frankfurt, there is zero obligation on my part to inform the public. So I can only imagine how fun that gets from a disclosure point of view, the company's on there. So that's your buyer beware alternative right there.
That's pretty funny. No, I do think sorry, Roland.
Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
Well, one thing we talked about before was, the how technology has changed the industry. And that was something that was really interesting to me when we talked to our oil and gas deal sponsors in the past, is how much technology has shifted or caused shifts in the industry and allowed you to do things now that have not been possible in the past. And we talked a little bit about that in our call last week. I would be interested in hearing about that from you, is just, how technology has changed the exploration business.
It's changed and it hasn't changed. It's so frustrating, because I was a stockbroker dealing with an account. It was a Texas account on behalf of the broker I worked for. And what they had done was they were pioneering directional drilling in oil fields. A, that tells you how old I am, but B, that technology is not yet in hard rock exploration here. Now, they can drill under the road right to my house to bring fiber cable for internet, and they do. But we still can't, if we want to do directional drilling in hard rock, we have to put something down the hole and wedge off it, i.e. deflect the drill. So there's a bit of ways to go. Part of it is the money paradigm. There's a lot more money in oil field drilling. It happens a lot faster than improving a hard rock resource. We drill tens of thousands of meters to prove a resource. You can spud a well with one hole if you put that hole in the right spot. So, the actual physical technology, it limps along slowly. Oriented core, downhole mapping, downhole geophysics surveys. But where it gets really cool is what AI is doing to transform the landscape. And I have a call tomorrow with a company that can photograph all of our core, which has been logged by a geologist, but it's going to photograph it. It can examine it down to the micropixel size, tell you what's there on surface, which is all a geologist can tell you too, is what they see with their eyes. But then it's going to assimilate it. Then it's going to apply its own proprietary AI tools. So it's going to get a lot more information out of the core than the geologist can, simply because it's not limited by being human, which is a scary, scary place we're going. I have proven the polymetallic resource. It's a very large volume of rock right now. we didn't do a lot of drilling to declare that resource. I was very aggressive because I wanted to prove it. So we got to go back and do more work and follow up on the higher grade areas of the deposit. But as it sits in that resource statement, it's large scale, low grade. It still works on a very high level first pass. To be a resource, a deposit has to show, to be a deposit, the mineral occurrence has to show economic viability, the ability to become a mine. At that point, I can use words like deposit. I can use words like ore. How I speak, as you previously pointed out, is very closely, if you're following the rules, there's a whole lot of words you can't use until you reach a certain point. And I follow the rules. I'm like that. But large scale, low grade. So that implies there's a lot of waste. That implies that I'm going to process a lot of material to get to the material you want. So I sent material to Germany. And it's a company that uses, it's a conventional conveyor belt setup. Picture any factory you've ever seen. But they use AI and their proprietary algorithms, as well as sensing instruments, to keep the mineralized material on the conveyor belt and discard everything else. That's profound. That implies grade is an expression, grade is a percentage of metal in it's a weight. We never see it, but grade should actually be percentage WT is how it's expressed. But if you can take out the waste, you raise your grade because you've got more metal by percentage basis in the rock. So you take out your waste, you're increasing your grade. Reducing your chemicals, reducing your water, reducing the waste at the end. It's profound impact.
Wow.
That's AI-driven proprietary algorithms. There's a lot that's happening behind the scenes. I put out a press release yesterday. It's an incremental release. I'm thrilled about it. I found a geochemist who's going to pick up where an old legend in the industry for VMS exploration passed away, and he had been working on our deposit. His work's unfinished because he really has no peers, and he's gone. And that's one of the problems in the hard rock world. I mean, I'm dealing with data. I mean, if I could find reports from the 80s, I'd be thrilled, but they're pre-computer. They're still on paper, and we know where all the paper went. It went in a pit. The paper's gone. Data's lost. And in mining, a lot of people do the same thing over and over again, either because it's what they can afford to do or because the data's been lost. So when Dr. Franklin passed away, he lost everything that was between his ears that wasn't written down. But I found a geochemist, a doctor in geochemistry who knows the work. He knows, he said, you know, Franklin's a legend. I said, I know, but I need you to pick up where he left off. So I put out a press release to that effect yesterday. But it's VMS exploration. VMS is a kind of mine that if we can find the VMS mines, they're hard to find, but they're spectacular. If you find the VMS, it's the old volcano. And it's how magma came up and it stops. It becomes rock, but it's rock with a lot of metal in it. We're seeing the outside edges of it, but if we can figure out where it came from, figure out, is it still there? Was it scraped away by a glacier? We don't know. We don't know the answers.
Oh, wow.
But we can follow it. So I put out a press release yesterday. So then today I'm like, I was busy all day, didn't write my newsletter. I have to send out my newsletter when we're done here. I'm like, okay, but I want to talk about how VMS occur in multiples. Well, I'm mapping guys off with his family. It's March break, so school-age children here or families are away.
Yeah, like us.
I'm going to ask Claude.
You're going to ask Claude? I've
been playing with Claude lately. Claude's fun. Claude's fast.
Yeah, I use her too, or him, or whatever it is.
It doesn't check its work because I wanted a map. So it makes these funky, like 3D interactive. I'm like, no. I want paper. And then I'm like, okay, I need you to check all of your coordinates. I need you to look at where you put the Cadillac brake. And Claude's like, oh, you're right. I'm like, I need to stop being right. Need you to check your work.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, where I was going with this with technology, it's transformative because Renforth is a small company. In the market cap's one thing, but we only generate money through shareholders, and I prioritize that money going in the ground. We have no employees. Everyone, including myself, is a consultant. So if I can use Claude and it saves me time, saves me money, replaces people doing very basic, it's very basic work. It's data compilation, really.
Yeah.
That's changing how business is going to be done. And I
It's
mean, I
going to
have
give
two
you an edge.
university age kids that are like, what can we study that clone can't do?
Yeah,
Totally
that's the question for everybody, isn't it? I'm
Absolutely.
like, be a musician.
Yeah, right?
Whoever
I'm
thought
like,
I would say that?
yeah, I'm like, plumber.
Yeah, plumber. Well, listen,
That's
we're
a good
coming up
idea.
on time, but Nicole, I did want to ask you because I love your attitude and you seem so grounded and fact oriented and no nonsense. So I'd be curious if you'd be willing to share with us, like, what is it that kind of keeps you personally going in this space? I know you were raised in it, so there's that, but it seems like you have the personality and the mindset for this, well, let's call it speculating, but it's, as you say, it's informed decision making. So do you have something that, you rely on every day as a habit or a practice to keep you going?
It's probably a lot of bad habits. I've been around a little while, and I've always been a square peg that never fit in the round holes. So
Yeah,
I've
I get
never
that.
tried to, I gave up on fitting in or being popular decades ago. And there's a lot I don't care about. You got to let go of a lot in this world. Like if it really doesn't impact you and it's not going to improve your life or your families or whatever, let
Yeah.
it go. Who cares? Who cares
Yeah.
is I don't care is actually a mantra. And it's funny because I'll say to people, I don't care. It's not that I don't care. I care, but I don't care. So it's
I
really
get it.
weird I live
You're
in.
not taking responsibility for things that you really can't do anything about.
Absolutely not. And that's
Mm.
the way to say it. Like, and what is it? There's a oh, I can't think of it. It's it, but it's a saying around the lines of, you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Um and and let go of the rest. Turn a cheek, turn whatever it is, just there's so much to let go of that doesn't
Hmm.
impact you. And that brings me a degree of peace because there's a lot you know, I don't
Yeah.
watch the news. Why? We know what the news, I consume media like nobody's business because I'm a geopolitical strategist and it affects what I do, the macro picture. But I don't watch the news. They're just there to yell and upset people. I don't need
Yeah.
that.
I
I
agree.
delete it out of my social media like a fiend just to
Yeah.
confuse Meta as well. But what else? Just do it. Nike, I love it, but just do it. Just
Yeah.
stop thinking about it, stop worrying, stop trying to game theory what's going to happen. Just do it. You'll find out what'll happen and then you'll deal with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
So
Nicole,
yeah, it's
one
just
thing,
do it. Huh?
yeah, one thing I wanted to bring out from the personal side is, for my daughter, who's a goalkeeper, you
We
told
talked
us
about
about
that.
your
That's right.
Oh,
your
yeah, I forgot about
goalkeeping
that.
experiences. So that was a fun thing for me to learn about. You're on a goalkeeper on a women's soccer team, right?
Yeah, we go into the playoffs this weekend. Woohoo. It's
Is
great
that
fun.
yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't know
far too
how
old to
like
be in
sports are
this.
structured in Canada. Is it something like you still can do competitive leagues, as you grow
No,
and
it's a league. It's a league for women over 30. I mean, I played very competitively or as competitively as I could relative to when I grew up, when I was
Mm,
younger. This is for fun. And it's teaching people. And nothing gives me more fun than to see people come into the sport. And I mean, I stopped during a game because a young lady who's I think we figured out she's literally 20 years younger than me, but she's starting to learn to be a goalkeeper. So I watched her. She was on the other end of the field. And at half, I said, I need to tell you something. I don't want to, not trying to be mean, but it'll help you. And did the same thing after the game. So then one of my teammates was like, could you teach my daughter? Because she keeps getting put in net and nobody teaches her. But I love sports. And that's where just do it comes from. Like your daughter will tell you, if you're in the net and you're thinking about something, you've already been beaten. You don't think, you react. You've got to be grounded enough in your skills to just react to what you're seeing in front of you. But as a goalie, and I read this somewhere, this was somebody else's brilliant thoughts, but you let go of things. I get scored on, big deal. It's done. It's done.
yeah.
It's behind me. It's back here. I can't see it. There's a philosophical, if you can't see it, is it even there? Like, I don't know. Is it back?
Well, yeah, and
Um,
it's a lesson for business, right? I mean, we all make mistakes in business, or things happen that are beyond our control, and do we dwell on those? No, we have to move forward, and that's the thing that I've always admired with my daughter, and I think it's the mindset that you've adopted as well. Is that you know that goal that just happened? Well,
it's
we can't go
done.
back in time and fix it. It's
Yeah.
done, so let's move forward.
And I mean, I take responsibility for my piece, and I'm Canadian. I'll apologize profusely, but you know, it's done. Move on.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
keep going forwards. Always, always forwards. It was the serenity prayer was what I couldn't think of earlier, which is basically to acknowledge what you can't do and move past it. Let go of it.
Yeah.
But once it's done, it's back here. And maybe nothing's back there. I'm not looking at it. I don't know if anything's behind it. I mean, this world is a very, very interesting place, and I think we only know a part of it. So, but every day on the correct side of the grass is a fantastic day. It's a privilege that's guaranteed to no one, and seize the moment and just do it. Do it. Go forwards.
That's brilliant.
I love it.
That's good advice.
Nicole, it's an absolute delight to get to talk to you. I just want to say, I'm so glad that you reached out to us and we got to have a nice conversation before. If there's ever anything we can assist you with, or if you ever want to come back on, talk about it, talk about your company, if you're going to make a transition into the United States, let us know how we can support you. And if anybody who's watching is interested, we'll put some details. I guess we'll put the company website and any information you want us to put in the show notes. Nicole, you just share by email and we'll make sure we get it in there. And, it's just, I always love learning about, new things, especially things that are so fundamental in our daily lives, such as the commodities that you're talking about extracting. So,
and I think people are starting to realize just how fundamental those things are.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Exactly.
But, just look at Renforth resources. Join the newsletter on the website. It's free. I don't do anything with your email. Maybe I entertain you. Maybe I bore you silly and you unsubscribe.
It's great for helping you go to sleep at night. No, I'm kidding.
Right?
All right. Well,
perfect. Well, it was a pleasure. I hope it's helpful to your audience of investors looking for alternatives. And if I can be of any help, reach out.
Okay. Thank you. Roland, do you have any?
No, that's it. I think we should.
All right. I'll close it up then. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we're really grateful to have Nicole here, and look forward to seeing you next time. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe.
And remember, everyone, take aim with your alternative investing strategies.
See you next time.